Okay, well, hello again, Derin. We're going to be covering phase two now of our how to land a interview or internship at a career fair and tips from an actual recruiter.
All right, welcome back, guys.
All right. Okay, so phase two, we're going to be covering tips on how to network and then prioritizing which companies you want to speak to, and then a follow up. All right, so tips on networking is just try to be yourself and don't seem too nervous. Like, I'm pretty sure the recruiter is also nervous, speaking to a lot of people. So, whenever you do network, try to just seem casual, attend networking events before the actual career fair. That way, whenever the career fair starts, you can kind of you already kind of network with them. It'll be a little bit easier, and the conversation will probably flow a little bit better as well. That's
Right,
just
and
my opinion.
that's true. And networking is really about. It's almost like you're working in sales. I'm not sure if any of you guys worked in sales. I've worked in sales a little bit in my early days in college, and that's kind of what you're doing when you're going to a career fair. You're kind of selling yourself in a way about like how you can be an impact to a company. So, a few things that you want to keep in mind before you start networking in career fairs. You want to kind of do a little bit of research on the company. I, when I was just recruiting recently, you would not you would surprise you how many times people will come over and be like, "Oh, so what do you guys do again?" Even though it says clearly right there, we're a chemical company. We make epoxy resins and different kind of specialty chemicals and stuff like that. Um, Having those kind of general questions really does turn off recruiters because it's not specific enough. You need to come prepared with what you want. Like, do you want an internship? Do you want a co-op? Do you want a full-time job? You need to be clear with what you want. You need to be clear with basically which companies you want to prioritize with. So let's say you're an electrical engineer but you're talking to a cement company, they're probably not going to have too much need for electrical engineers. So you want to kind of know the companies you're targeting because it'll kind of waste your time. There's like 300 companies at these career fairs. You're not going to realistically even talk to about 50% of them. So you want to kind of strategize and know which ones you want to talk to, the ones that pertain more to your major, and kind of start going from there.
Exactly. It's very important to do your research because whenever I was first attending career fairs and conferences, I made some of those mistakes and not did research on these companies. Like they really weren't interested in speaking with me. I'm like, okay. So the next time I was doing a little bit more research. I read a little bit about their internship program, what kind of projects they do. And then whenever I went in and spoke with them, it was like a much better conversation. There was things that we could actually speak about and also try to ask questions as well.
Yeah,
Um,
ask some great questions and something else today you said, doing a little bit of research. So this, I'm guilty of this. I do this all the time, but it works. I mean, you have time. So if you're in line to talk to one of these companies, you have about like 5 minutes to burn. Probably just instead of like checking your Instagram or your Snapchat, just go on Google real quick and just Google that company, and then some recent stories, some recent publications will come out for that company, and then right then and there, your fingertips, you have like real time
mhm.
relevant current event information to talk to them about. Like, oh, I saw you guys just launched this new project over in Arizona somewhere. I actually worked on a similar project in my lab or whatever. So you could have different conversations. You just want to always have some kind of relatability to the company or recruiter you're talking to. You want to have some kind of link to put you guys together.
Yeah, and then I remember one time during the conference, I attended this kind of networking event, and there were people from this company that I'd never heard of, and I was like, okay, let me look them up and see what they do. And I found out that a lot of stuff that they were doing was actually around my interest and what I wanted to do. So I was like, okay, I'll go talk to this company. And as mentioned in the video before, I had my general resume and I handed them to them, and it kind of went well, and I got an offer right there and then.
You
So it
see, and
was, yeah.
that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And a lot of times, what I found networking, it really comes down to just having just a really open personality where you're just. I know a lot of engineers are introverts and are very to themselves. In a career fair, this is where you want to really get out of your comfort zone. Trust me, you really want to get out of your comfort zone because the more open you are to engaging with different people, different recruiters, the more opportunities are going to come your way. Like I'll give you an example. I was at the National Society of Black Engineers national conference last year. It's one of the largest engineering conferences in the world every year, and I just literally just got done with an interview, and I was walking through the interview sections, and this is like invite only, so you can only come to the section of the career fair unless you've been invited. And after I got done interviewing with the company that I was invited by, I was just walking by and another company that I really wanted to talk to at the career fair that didn't really give me the time of the day. I just made a comment like, "Hey, what does it take? What does it take for a guy to get an interview around here?" And just that little comment was like, the guy was like, "Oh man, come on over here. What's your name?" You'll be so surprised. I mean, just a little comment like that will go a long
Mm-hmm.
way. And I really tell my friends this all the time, and it works wonderful for them. And they've tried it, and because they think everything has to be so serious right at a career fair,
Mm-hmm.
because a company could give you an offer that could change your life forever, which is true. But you also want to have fun with it. You want to enjoy it, and you just want to you want to have a warm and open personality because that goes a long way. Just like Paula said, that puts the recruiter at ease and puts you at
Mm-hmm.
ease as well.
Exactly. All right. And another thing I do is right after I finish networking or talking to someone, I write down what that conversation was about. And because you're going to be talking to a lot of companies and a lot of people, and you're probably going to forget, oh my goodness, which, like, what conversation went with what person. Like, I forgot what companies I spoke to, like, I definitely try to, like, write down some little notes.
Yes, excellent point. That
Uh-huh.
is an excellent point. You'll be surprised how important that is because just like you said, you'll be talking to lots of people. You'll be getting tons of information about what to do, where to apply, what time to apply, what position to apply to. You're going to be getting fed a bunch of information. And if you don't write that down right then and there, yes, it will slip your mind. And then you'll get back to your hotel like at 7 o'clock, like, oh my God, what up? I'm supposed to apply somewhere at what time? I'm like, I can't remember. So you definitely want to keep a notebook, a small notebook with you as you're walking around. If you spoke to John Doe at company B, whatever, and he said, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to open up this requisition at like 4 o'clock. Go in and apply like at 5 o'clock, and email me after you're done, so I know that
Hmm.
you applied." The stuff like that. You want to keep little notes like that, and you just want to follow up, which we'll be talking about in a little bit, and that just all ties in together.
All right. Okay. So I think now we covered everything. Now prioritizing your companies, like you mentioned before, it's very important that you research what companies are going to be attending and what they're hiring. Because a lot of times I've made the mistake of not doing my research, and I've spoken with companies that are only hiring civil, and I'm mechanical, so they don't even like consider me. They're like, yeah, we're only looking for civil, and it's like they don't even give me a chance to talk or anything, but it's cool. So then I like kind of move on. And like I've mentioned before, there are going to be companies that you never even heard of, but the companies that you do research on, like I said, make little notes in case you forget or you blank out. Just make little notes. Oh, I'm going to be talking to this company about this. And then as you're in the career fair and you start discovering other companies, write those companies down. Like, oh, I'll probably go visit them. I'll probably just kind of like make a connection with them or something. Hmm.
Right, exactly. I mean, research is your best friend when you go into these career fairs, and the more research you do, the better off you are. I'm not
Hmm.
saying go in and research all 500 companies. You want to research the companies that you're interested in, the companies you possibly want to work for, and you have access to the names of the companies that are going to be there before the career fair starts. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's time well spent if you're able to just go in, look at all the companies that are going to be there, make a list of the ones that you potentially will be interested in, and then start doing a little bit of research on those companies so you have some information um, with you when you go up to talk to them. And when it comes to prioritizing which companies you talk to first, I say Everybody, I know sometimes it's different. People would like to get through their top target companies first. I'll actually say get to your target companies last. I'll say go
Hmm.
to all these other companies that you haven't heard about because everybody wants to go to their target companies first. So the lines for like, the big tier companies are extremely long. So you're wasting like an hour of your time just waiting in one line for a recruiter that might, not even give you the time of the day. So you kind of want to be realistic with yourself as well when it comes to this portion of the career fair. You want to know where you stand, right? You know what your GPA is. You know some certain companies have a stringent GPA barrier. Like they're not even going to take your resume if your GPA is not up to a certain level. So you need to have that kind of information with you, so you're not wasting your time. The best thing you can do at a career fair is maximize your time as much as possible. You have usually 2 days of the career fairs, which is usually like on a Thursday or Friday, and you only have about a given time slot. Usually it's like from 9 to like 5 or 9 to 4 or some. So you want to maximize that time as much as possible by talking to the companies that you're interested in and companies that you know that you might be able to get positive feedback from.
Okay. Usually for internship, I would say don't really look at location as like like a make it or break it. Like it's an internship. It's only going to be maybe it's good for experience. Like just go and it's good to venture out as well. Like try to see what other opportunities are out there as well.
No, that is that is a
Hmm.
great point about exactly. My first internship was actually a co-op in the middle of nowhere in Indiana, and I went out there from like January till August, and that was a really eye-opening experience for me because that was the first time I'd ever lived in a cold region where it snowed like every day in the winter, and working with a bunch of people from the Midwest. And it was a completely different culture, different way of life than I was used to, and I learned a lot from that experience. So you're exactly right.
Hmm.
For an internship, you definitely don't want a location to be like your end all be all. Like actually, your internship is where you want to be as open as possible, and then maybe be a little bit more picky when it comes to your
Hmm.
first job out of college. But for internships, you want to go anywhere. If they want to send you to the moon, please send it. So you want to be as open as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And especially for like, I guess freshmen, sophomores who don't really have too much experience or knowledge on like, I guess engineering stuff yet. I think it's good to open up to different opportunities outside of engineering.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Okay, so like I just said, like my first internship experience was actually a chemical engineering role, but obviously I'm a mechanical engineer. But during the interview process, they felt like I was able to handle that job as a mechanical, not a chemical, and they gave it to me. And this turns out that I'm kind of doing the same thing now in my first job out of college. So maybe it does kind of make sense. But yeah, you do want to kind of spread your wings. I have a friend actually that has graduated from University of Texas with a petroleum engineering degree, and he's working for Chevron doing something completely different from petroleum engineering. He's now like the digital transformation lead over there. Like literally has nothing to do with petroleum engineering, even though he works for an oil and gas company
Hmm.
and he has a petroleum engineering degree. He's doing a role that has nothing to do with engineering because he self-taught himself, a bunch of programming languages like R and Python, and did a bunch of different programming workshops and built himself into almost like a computer science major with a petroleum engineering degree. So your degree is one thing, but the skills that you learn on your own can also kind of propel you to a position that you possibly weren't thinking about otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard oftentimes like sometimes what you major in isn't what you're going to be doing in the future.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it this way. I read an
Hmm.
article a few months back that only 40% of engineering degree holders actually work in engineering fields. So think
Hmm.
about it. That's 60% of engineers that hold engineering degrees that don't even work in engineering fields. Some people go on to medical school, they go on to law, other industries, but obviously we're talking about engineering right here. But this shows you just how versatile your engineering degree is. Pretty
Hmm.
much, as long as you have an engineering degree, a company is willing to give you a job because if they figured, well, be able to do that, then you can do anything.
So now we're gonna go into following up with a recruiter or employer. Usually by this point, if you've been offered an interview and if you've already interviewed and you have that person's contact information, more than likely, try to follow up with them within 24 hours. That's usually what I go with, but I'm not sure how it would work for a conference since they're going to be talking to a lot of students. What would you recommend for following up?
So following up is possibly the most important part of this whole thing that we've been
Hmm.
talking about. So from your attire to your resume to your elevator pitch to prioritizing these companies and everything like that. The most important thing out of all of this is the follow up, because if you don't follow up, it's like out of sight, out of mind.
Hmm.
And I keep using this as an example because I literally just came off a recruiting trip to a major university a few weeks back, and guess what? Out of the 5 students that we interviewed in person at Texas A&M, only 2 of those students emailed me back for like a thank you or like a thank you email. And it sounds cliche. I'm pretty sure you've heard about send us thank you email, whatever like that, and don't send us not important. It's very important because even myself, that I was on the other side of this just a year ago, and I got those emails of like the thank you emails. It goes a long way. It really does. Like those little things really do go a long way, and it leaves a positive light in the mind of the recruiter. And there's nothing about a follow-up email that is going to bar you or knock you down a couple of points. If anything, it's going to increase your chances of getting a callback. And the time frame, I would say you want to keep it under 72 hours. Over 72 hours, that's a little too much. Like if you let 3 days go by, then that's a little too long. So let's say you interviewed on Friday at the career fair and you have the recruiter's email or the HR manager's email. You want to send them, you want to make sure they get in the email like Monday morning, like at 9 o'clock. All right. So that's the way I've tend to
Hmm.
do my follow-ups. And the follow-ups doesn't have to be some long, drawn-out, manifesto. It just has to be just like hey, thanks for taking the time out to speak to me about this very interesting position. I really feel, my skills and the stuff that I've done in academia and my internship experience can really build me up for this role that you have. And something short and sweet. You want to kind of reference something that maybe you and the recruiter spoke to about during the conference, so that way they can remember who you are. They're like, oh yeah, that's right. I did speak to that person about my Fitbit and getting 20,000 steps, or I spoke to them about the Super Bowl or whatever. So when you add a little reference point that you guys had in the conversation, it makes the recruiter remember clearly, like, oh yeah, this is that person. So it definitely goes a long way.
Okay. So one person told me that it's good to close with a question. That way the recruiter responds. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
you definitely want to end with um, if not a question, a
Uh-huh.
call to action in some kind of way.
Okay.
So basically, if let's say I just applied for the job that the recruiter um, referred me to, I would say in the email, hey, I've applied for that job that you requested. If there's anything else that you might need from me, let me know. And also, if you have time, hopefully during the next week or so, if you'll be open for a brief conversation on the phone or whatever to continue
Mm,
to continue discussion, you can place that as well on an email. So you always want to preface it in a way where you can continue the conversation that you already
mm-hmm.
started. But
That's
you also don't
nice.
want to sound desperate now. You don't want to be like, oh my God, I really need this job and my life depends on it. So you don't want to sound completely desperate, but you want to sound eager and confident that you want this job and you're the right person for this job.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much try to remind the recruiter of the conversation that y'all had, how the interview went, and also like try to reintroduce yourself at the beginning. And just like you said, keep it short. I don't like writing really long emails because it's like you could go off topic and you can miss the whole point of it. But yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, you definitely don't want it too long because there's something about the human psyche that when they see a really long, drawn out email, they just kind of automatically get tuned out. So you want to keep it short and
Hmm.
sweet. And obviously, you just met the recruiter. You don't have that much to talk about yet. So you want to really keep it short and sweet. Tap into something you guys spoke about in the past and bring that in there and talk about. Um, you're hoping to hear back about a certain position, or please let me know if this position comes open, or just kind of preface it based on the conversations you've had.
Is there anything else you'd want to mention or just to like sum everything up?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You just want
Hmm.
to do your research. Research is your key. Prioritize the companies you're going to go for, rank them. I'll say probably rank like your first 5 companies you really want to talk to, and all the other companies after that you should just, if they look appealing to you, then go up and talk to them. Well, career fairs are really great places to make lasting impressions, make some great connections, and really change your life. Literally, all my internships I've ever had and my first job now that I currently have all come because of a career fair. And it's amazing what you can get done in just 2 days being in a large
Hmm.
venue with all these different companies there. Literally, all these career fairs have possibly all the companies you could possibly ever wanted to work for in your life. They're all under one roof for 2 days, and you have to maximize that time as much as possible. So, do your homework, do your research, and just have fun with it. And be confident in yourself. Be confident in your skills, and be confident in everything you've learned throughout your semesters of school. And bring that all to a nice harmony when you're talking to these recruiters, and let that come across, and let your passion come across too, and have fun with it. Enjoy yourself out there because that goes a long way too.
Well, thank you again, Darren.
Thank you, Paula. All right,
Have a
so
nice
until next
weekend.
time,
Yeah,
you
all
too.
right.
Bye bye.
Bye.